Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to crack open a real-world data analytics case study. It's all about how a pretty standard IT help desk went from just being swamped with data to actually making smart, informed decisions.
I mean, it's a huge question for any business, right? And the answer? Well, it's not about gut feelings or who looks the busiest running around the office. It all boils down to asking the right questions and knowing how to dig for the answers hidden in your data.
All right, so here's the plan. We'll kick things off at the help desk's main challenge. Then we'll look at the two models they built, walk through their whole analytics process, check out the awesome insights they found, and wrap up with why logging everything was so important.
Okay, let's get right into it. Picture this, a super busy IT help desk in a big company. Tickets are flying in, tickets are getting closed, it's just a constant stream of activity. But what does all that noise actually mean?
So the people in charge, they have a really clear goal. Every single quarter, they want to move past just feeling swamped. They need to measure how well they're actually doing, with real data. They need to know for sure if they're improving.
So, to cut to all that noise, they decided to zoom in and focus their entire analysis on just two key questions. First, how fast are we really resolving these tickets? And second, who's handling the workload? I mean, they sound simple, right? But these two questions, they're the key to unlocking everything.
All right, so what was their game plan? Well, to answer those two different questions, they needed two different but sort of parallel ways of looking at the data. So they built two separate data models to tackle it.
And this is what's so smart about their approach. It's super simple and focused. Model 1, that's all about speed. It just tracks a ticket from the moment it's created to the moment it's closed. Model 2 is all about volume. It counts up the total number of tickets each team closes. See? Two very specific models designed to get two very specific answers.
And this right here, this is where Model 1 really shines. It's not just some vague average number. It lets the leadership make a real, concrete promise. You might have heard of this. It's called an SLA, a service level agreement. It lets them set crystal clear expectations with their customers and gives them a solid benchmark they can measure themselves against every single quarter.
Okay, so they've got their questions, they've got their models, but how do you actually get from this giant mountain of messy, raw data to those nice, clean answers? Well, you do it by following a step-by-step process, a workflow that you can use over and over again.
Yeah, they call it a knowledge application workflow, which, I know, sounds a little complicated. But honestly, just think of it like a recipe. Since they're asking the exact same questions every quarter, they can create one standard recipe. And that ensures they get consistent and reliable results they can actually compare every single time.
So this recipe, it's got three main parts. First up, you got to explore the data and clean up all the mess. Then, you take that clean data and you shape it just right for each of the two models. And finally, you run the models and get your answers. Let's break down each of those steps.
Right. First things first, cleaning the data. You wouldn't build a house on a shaky foundation, would you? Same idea here. You just can't do good analysis with messy data. So before anything else happens, that raw ticket data has to be prepped, checked for quality, and scrubbed clean of any errors.
And this is basically their quality control checklist. They're not just fixing typos here. They're carefully picking out only the pieces of data they actually need, fixing any problems they find, saving a totally new, clean version of the data, and, this is huge, they're logging every single move they make.
Okay, so here's a really important point. Just having clean data? It's not enough. You have to shape that data, mold it so it's perfect for the specific question you're trying to answer. This is the part where the data gets specially prepared for Model 1 and for Model 2. So for Model 1, remember, that's the one all about speed. They do something called feature engineering. What they do is take two existing pieces of data, the ticket's start time and its end time, and they use them to create a brand new piece of information, resolution time. And that new feature, it's the absolute key to the whole model. Then for Model 2, the one measuring workload, they use a much simpler but just as powerful operation. It's called a group by. All they do is tell the computer, hey, group all these tickets together by which team worked on them, and then just count them up. Simple as that. All right, so the data's clean, it's been shaped for each model, and the models have done their thing. Now we get to the good stuff, the payoff. What's did all this work actually tell them? And boom, here's the result from Model 1.
It gives them something so clear and actionable. Like imagine seeing this. 90% of our customer issues are solved within 48 hours. That's not just a random statistic. That's a real performance target that they can now track and try to beat.
At the same time, Model 2 gives them this beautiful, simple chart that shows the team workload. In a single glance, anyone in management can see exactly how the work is spread out across all the different support teams.
And you can see the story right away, can't you? Support Group G is clearly carrying the heaviest load this quarter, closing almost 1,250 tickets. An insight like that immediately starts important conversations. Do they need more resources, more training? Is there a better way to do things?
Okay, the last piece of the puzzle. This is something that's been happening in the background through this whole process, and you could argue it's the most important part for making sure this success actually lasts.
So why log every single step? It's actually pretty simple. First, it guarantees that next quarter's report is done the exact same way as this one, so you're comparing apples to apples. Second, it lets them track if performance is actually getting better over time, with no guesswork. And finally, it creates this transparent record, this knowledge base that anyone on the team can look at and understand, months or even years from now.
When you boil it all down, this case study really shows us something powerful. You don't always need super complex AI or fancy machine learning to get huge value from your data. Sometimes, all it takes is asking the right simple questions, creating a clear process, and having the discipline to stick to it. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What simple but game-changing answers are just waiting to be discovered in your team's data?